All right, here we go with the Superfinal Time Trials. Stop number 3 of the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup Tour. We'll start off today with the elite women, and you see right here Axel Eteni, our current junior world champion in women's class. She will be the first to go. Of the 7 women that will ride, unfortunately, one of the women was injured in earlier practice. That would be Mariana Pajon, and she will not be starting. But Axel Tenney will set the fastest time. Jason, she's in the gate.
Yeah, Axel Etienne, it's her first year in elite. She was a junior, and she's setting the pace. She's the first one to go, so didn't quite jump into the first turn. So I'm sure that'll cost her as other girls do that and go by. She's over jumping. She looks like she's riding a little bit tight, a little bit nervous out there with a couple of over jumps and little stiff. It can happen when you're on the track by yourself and you hear that music pounding. Kind of sometimes you're wondering, am I going fast enough, or it just feels like you're never getting what you want out of that lap sometimes. But either way, clean enough. She gets across the line. She does set the pace at 39.896, but we will see how long she stays in the hot seat. My guess is not too long.
So they've had some practice earlier in the day. They came back. They just had a little 10-minute warm up. But how is it now? You got to go out and run a full lap. How consistent can you be? We'll find out as Elke Van Hoof, who's currently ranked 8th overall, will be the next up. But Jason, in your experience, how do you overcome that kind of break?
It's interesting because they practiced earlier today. The wind could have changed. Sometimes the track conditions change. But either way, you have all day to think about it, and then what lane do I choose? And so it's just a lot of time to think about your strategy, and so that can make it difficult. Elke Van Hoof off to a good start. Second, so Etienne was faster at the bottom of the hill. Let's see, she's not going to jump into the first corner either. However, she does manage to stay on the ground, still in second. So Axel Etienne still set a decent pace time given the fact that she might have made a couple of mistakes. But Elke Van Hoof seems to be having a great second straight, good backside. Second, so far splits 21.679. Going through this third straight, see if she can make up some time. Stretches those legs, gets good backside. No big mistakes there, staying consistent. It's just not as fast so far as Axel Etienne, but it seems like she will cross the line with a 40.041, so Axel gets to hold on to the hot seat for just a little longer.
So when you get there, you can basically pick any gate you want. And as we have Elise Post, she's going up there. She's going to pick her gate now. Gate 1's the closest to the first turn. It's the shortest lap. But what's the difference between 1 and, say, 8 in this qualifier?
One is, when you're racing other people, 1 is the closest to the apex of the first corner. However, you'll see that some of these girls are picking the outside line because it might actually be a straighter, more fluid shot in and out of the first turn. And then there's just the comfort level. Like I said, fine line between comfort and safety with gear. There's also a fine line with comfort and speed sometimes on these tracks. So a lot of times they're going to pick the outside just to get that better line, or because they just like that lane. Now Lise boosts into that first corner, and again the gift. So she came down the hill in third, and then when it came out of the first turn in first. So far she's setting the pace now, and that was that gift from jumping into that first corner. Into the second corner, almost a little bit of an over jump, but she's still running a hot lap. A little bit of a cross up, little English on the bike through the rhythm. Elise has been doing a lot of time down in San Diego on the trails, getting bike time down, so she's been pretty comfortable before. I mean, she won the time trial in Manchester, and I'm pretty sure, 39.574. She is going to be in the hot seat now, taking over Axel Etienne's very short reign.
So she's able to make it around the entire track. She had that little bobble ride at the finish. I know that's going to be one of those things that bite her all the time. She almost had that World Cup win in the bag. So next up, it'll be Brooke Crane from the United States of America, number 32. She's loading up, and she's going into that gate number 5. So we see most of these girls on the outside, second half the outside of the gate. So must be that perfect straight line.
Yeah, again, comfort, and then having that good line into the corner. Brooke Crane really known for good hill times. You know, not one of the bigger girls. You know, she's one of the smaller girls, I would say. You know, she doesn't have that much weight, so she has to work a little harder sometimes to work that momentum. But she is smooth, and she is technical for sure. As you see, she did not jump the jump into the first corner, but her legs are moving fast, so she will probably not be ahead of Elise at the split. But stranger things have happened. I'm not on the bike. She is in second, so she did make up some time on XL and Elke, and so we'll see how she goes through this rhythm. And you know, with the steep and deep, she's also one of the shorter girls. She doesn't have the longer legs, so stretching her legs between those jumps might be a little bit more difficult for her, so that might also affect her choice as to how she gets through the rhythm. But again, fourth, so she went from third to second to fourth, and that's just basically just, again, she might have got tired or just made a bit of a bad line choice through the track.
So next up will be Laura SMULDERS, someone that might have a little bit more time, but as we said on this track, but as we said, most of the riders here have had about equal time from all around the world, just because the renovations that were made, they closed the track off about the week before, I believe the Monday before the race started, so no one was able to ride it. But we had some countries out here last week that just kind of came in, did some training on the open training sessions that they had going on out here. But SMULDERS no stranger to winning these time trials. We'll see what she can do today here in Papendal, her home track, as we get ready for her start here in the super final for the elite women at round number 3 of the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup.
Yeah, SMULDERS is known to be a smart racer, that's for sure. Pretty good tactician as well. She's going to take some conservative lines, but definitely the ones that work for her. She did not jump into that first turn, and as we've seen with the ladies racing from qualifiers and even Elise's time trial, that you definitely get gifted when you jump into that first turn. Nice smooth second straight. She's in second right now. Maybe she can make up some time down this straightaway. We will see. A little bit of an overjump there, getting through that rhythm. Again, it's a long stretch with these steep and deep rhythms, but coming out in first, so she took it good enough. She did gain some speed, and we will see what it's like when she crosses the finish line. Back to second with a 39.578. Post had a 39.574, so they are literally on the same second, within 3/100ths of a second, I believe, so very close. Next up, we have Simone Christensen, 22 years old. Best Supercross finish was a second, and we will see how she does going into this time trial.
Yeah, she's currently ranked second overall in the 2016 series. A little bit of inconsistency for the women, except for Caroline Buchanan. Caroline winning both of the first 2 rounds so far. Caroline will be the last woman to go. So it's just 2 women left, Christensen and then Caroline Buchanan. So let's see what Simone can do as she's getting ready for her Superfinal time trial.
Decent start for her. 4th down the hill, but as we can see, this is a time trial. We have the whole track ahead of us. A little bit of case on that second jump. Gets over this third one pretty smooth. Gets a lot of pedals in that first corner. Goes a little bit wide at the end, but comes out pretty strong. So I would suspect she's going to have a decent second straight. She doesn't make too many mistakes. Good and smooth into this second corner. Ranked 5th so far at the split with a 21.6 something through the rhythm. Looks like, you know, I've seen her more comfortable and go a little bit faster. So sometimes, you know, you just get off to a little bit of a off start and it just keeps cascading in that direction. But she managed to pick up 1 spot at least, so she's 3rd right now. And, you know, we'll see if she can stay on that podium spot. But with the time trials, it's first or nothing.
Okay, Ricky Bobby. So Elite's Post, our current leader with just 1 woman left to go. That'll be Caroline Buchanan, currently ranked 1st overall. Winner, as we said, first stop and second stop of this season. Also the winner of the first stop last year. So Caroline Buchanan will be the only one that could unseat Elite's Post. We'll see if she can do it. She comes from the inside from lane 4, where most of the ladies we did see come from lane 5. So we'll see how Caroline can do here in Papendal for her run at the Superfinal time trial. Here we go with the gate drop. So Caroline comes down. She has the fastest speed at the bottom of the ramp, 58.9K, and she has the fastest to the first time sector. So you see the green helmet comes up right now at 10.03 versus 10.12 was what Elise had. So Caroline's on track to take away that top seat, but she has half the track left, and we'll see how things come on. 20.95 versus a 20.98. So it's getting closer. The margin of victory shrinking right now for Caroline. Can she do it as she comes around the last turn? She still holds on to that lead, and she's actually gained on a little bit. So if as long as everything goes smooth and clean, she should have the fastest time, and she does. Comes across the line, you see the time difference between Caroline and Elise on the same second. Both 39.2 versus a 39.5. So Caroline Buchanan is the winner here in Papendal. Stop number 3, the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup Tour Superfinal Time Trial. And we will get our word with Caroline. She's going in to the interview zone. And our own Jason Richardson's been the one that's gone down there to get with her. So we'll get word from here. Here we go. Get a word from Caroline Buchanan, today's winner of the Superfinal Time Trial here in Papendal at stop number 3, the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup Tour.
Ladies time trial, something I've always wanted to know, were you aware of how fast you were going? Were you aware that that was a winning lap?
No, not at all. It may look easy out there, but it's really tough with the wind, and I knew Alicia was going to be hard to beat, and when I came up short on that triple, I honestly thought it was over, but keep going to the line, a few more mistakes, but yeah, I looked up and had the win, so it was good.
Well, it was a brilliant run, and we're looking forward to watching you race tomorrow. Have a good one.
Thank you.
So Caroline Buchanan takes the victory here at the Superfinal Time Trial in Papendal for the Elite Women. And that wraps up things for the Elite Women's racing portion of the day. Caroline Buchanan will be that #1 spot when we move into the qualification runs tomorrow and the main event day. So Caroline getting the accolades for taking it over. And now we will move over to the Elite Men. We're going to have the top 16 Elite Men. We're going to start out with Vandenberg, and then Graf, Pelliard, NYHAUG, BLANC, JASPERS, Ramirez, Naverstad, Campo, Mir, Phillips, Daudet, Torres, Evans, Long, and SHARRAH. These top 16 when their current rank in the overall season rankings right now for 2016. So it'll be interesting to see. We have a few new names, but a little bit of a shakeup, a few new riders with those main event finishes in Manchester to go along with the results in Argentina. So we'll get these top 16 men in just a few moments. And then we will have the winner of tonight's Superfinal Time Trial to go along with Caroline Buchanan. We'll start with Dave Vandenberg. He will be our first rider of the night from right here in the Netherlands. 22 years old. His first time in these Superfinal Time Trials. It'll be interesting to see what he can pull off as he's getting ready to load into the gate here. It's a Joey Bradford lookalike, but it is Dave Vandenberg from the Netherlands. And he's gone into lane 3. We saw most of those women went into lane 5. Caroline was in lane 4. Was that the fastest spot? I don't know, but we will see.
Well, let's remember that the men ride a different straightaway in the second. They ride a different side of the course coming out of the first corner, so lining up for that first corner will be different for the men as they can swing wider coming out of that corner because their straightaway is on the outside of the women's straightaway. But Vandenberg looks pretty good. He's obviously setting the pace. Whoa, big overjump on that second double, but still manages to recover and get into that second corner nice. He's setting the pace. He's the first guy to go down, so let's see how long he can hold this lead after he finishes this lap. So far, so good. These Dutch riders are very strong, technically sound, fundamentally sound, I should say. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him hold on to this lead for a few riders at least, but it is a strong field.
So Dave Vandenberg takes over the hot seat as the first rider to go. He's going to be tested right away as number 3, David Graf, is going to go out there. He's another tactician on the track. Definitely strong, but he's a crafty rider. He makes a lot of moves on riders come from behind. When he's out on the track by himself, we haven't seen him do as well, but he is currently ranked 16th overall in this World Cup Series. So David will be our next rider up here in tonight's Superfinal Time Trial.
And what's interesting about David Graf is, you know, he has a mountain bike, a BMX and mountain bike pedigree, so he does the mountain bike thing as well. And what's interesting is he's into he's a technical rider, but he's also a bit of into the tech part. So you notice he has a disc brake, and so there's some couple of special things on his bike that are a little bit different. And he also looks at a track from a different perspective. So he's able to see different lines and corners where most BMXers, a lot of BMXers don't, just because he has the perspective of a mountain biker. Again, looking smooth, getting a lot of those pedals in. I know his bike is one of the lightest out there. He does drop back to second. So, like I said, these Dutch riders are strong and fundamentally sound. David Graff here having a nice third straight, tail tapping into a few of those jumps over that rhythm, gets the green helmet. We will see what his time is like. Look, a little bobble at the end, but that was good enough to take over first with a 37.374, I believe. The time went up and down real quick, but either way, he got that green helmet, and the timing is official, so he will be in the hot seat.
So he had a pencil error over the second jump, over-jumped one of the jumps down the second straightaway. But, yeah, he had a great run through that third straightaway. That's where he made up all of his time. And right now he will make his way to the beautifully pink scooter with the Italian badging. While we're here in the Netherlands, don't ask me.
Well,
but we'll get ready for our third rider in tonight's Superfinal Time Trial. It'll be Vincent Pelliaward, VP 120.
And keep in mind, it's not always the prettiest lap that's the fastest, and vice versa. I mean, you never really, as Caroline said, she noticed her mistakes, and that was a winning lap. So David Graff might have had a pencil error, but it was enough to put him in the hot seat. So let's see what Vincent Pelliaward, the guy from France, number 120, what he's got. The French guys are known for being technical and their technique. They pride themselves on it. I know they used to when I used to race. Not the green helmet coming out of the first corner. And again, this might be one of those laps where it might look smoother than it is fast. But either way, at this level, these guys are all going fast. They're all going to be finishing within the same second or two. Little hang up over that step up. That's a hard one to gauge because you kind of hit it blind. Once you get to the top, you still got to go across about 5 feet to get to the actual backside. Red helmet coming out of the last turn through this last rhythm. I think he's just going to bring it across the finish line with not much expectation. He'll be third with the 38.9 something, and Graff is still in that hot seat on the scooter. I think he's going downtown on that scooter. What do you say?
That's not the side of town I want to go to. So next up, the winner of our first two time trials of the season, Tori NYHAUG from Canada. Winning those time trials is nice, but he's currently ranked 14th overall. He would definitely trade those 2 wins in to be ranked 2nd overall first, but we'll see how things go from the young Canadian beast as he's lined up on the gate.
Yeah, and he's got that bright fluorescent bike. I wonder if he's riding a different bike for time trial than he would his race bike. Maybe this bike has a different gear on it.
Time trial specialist?
He could be. He was very excited to win that time trial in Argentina because it was his first one. And then he backs it up in Manchester. Like you said, though, he wants to get those finishes in the main event tomorrow. That's not to say he doesn't want to put in a good lap. And Tori's always consistent. As you can see, the green helmet coming out of the first turn, very smooth, legs moving fast, getting good backside. Little bit of an overjump there, a little bit of style into the second corner, and still coming out first with that green helmet. Whoa, little manual off of that step, little misjudgment there, but he holds it down, manages to keep himself poised and stay in the lead. Going through this last straight, let's see what the time is like. 36.89, so he breaks the 37, gets into the 36, and he will be sitting in the hot seat. So he gets to remove the Swiss guy and say, no, the moose is loose. Canada's here.
Can we unseat Mike Day and Connor Fields as the time trial aficionados, as we've seen in the past? Tori NYHAUG looks to do that. Next up would be Renaud Blanc. Currently ranked 13th overall in the Supercross Series. Had a great run in Manchester with that 3rd place overall. His best result, and we'll see how things go out. So I'm just looking at the speed at the bottom of the ramp. David Graff was at 63.4K, and everybody else was in the 58K mark. So that's a pretty big drop. I mean, it's a pretty big speed increase there, and then to drop back into second. So you can see where Tori made up a lot of time in going into turn 1, and that's pretty much where he held the lead because he was ranked 3rd at the bottom of the ramp. So next up is Renaud Blanc, Jason.
Yeah, Renaud Blanc, he had that 3rd place finish in Manchester, so maybe that momentum and that energy will transfer over to here and lead to a good time trial run. We have a red helmet coming out of the first turn, but as we know, the track's not finished just yet. Another Swiss rider, I believe from Winterthur might be his local track. I'm not quite sure, or Échechon, but I think he's French speaking, so I would say Échechon might be his local track. I'm not sure. Little case in that rhythm, which is not going to work well for him. Still has a red helmet. Clean, relatively clean lap, but I don't think it'll be first. Nice triple manual in the last into the finish line, but a 37.909. So he's basically a second off of Tori NYHAUG's time, which we will see if Tori can hold it down.
So Tori looking to make it 3 in a row. Can he do so? I don't know. We have a lot of riders, a lot of big names left. And it is pretty hot out here, but Tori's probably just
Tori did that for the ladies. He's not. It's not that warm outside.
So next up is Martin Jaspers, currently ranked 12th overall in the 2016 UCI BMX World Cup Tour. You look like you wanted to say something.
I did, but I thought you were going to say something else. I was just looking at his stats. Impressive.
So another rider, he was riding really strong over the last season, injured halfway through last year, comes back, he's making his way through, and it's definitely hard, Jason, when you're right there, you're breaking through, you have an injury, slows you back, and then you're just trying to crawl back to where you were, yet your competition is continuing to excel.
Momentum is a key thing, whether it's on a micro level at one race or a macro level as it pertains to a season or setting up a career. So, one thing I'm impressed about with these Dutch riders is, again, they're fundamentally sound, and it seems like none of them are, all of them are at least 6 feet tall. I think that's kind of the rule. I don't know. But definitely putting in a strong lap. We'll see what it looks like coming out of this last corner. It seems like I would say he's going to have a red helmet. Not to say that it's not a good lap, but again, with these time trials, it's all about finishing first in these time trials. 37.832, which is respectable, but not enough to take over the hot seat.
So next up, the little magician, Carlos Ramirez. He had his breakthrough Supercross race here 2 seasons ago, making that final, making his way, impressing a lot of people. He was the junior world champion.
Yeah, this guy carries a lot of energy. He's always got a good attitude, and he does make things happen on the track. So his second half of the track is usually where he comes on strong. I don't know if it's training at altitude or what. Definitely, the legacy that Mario Soto had, and just the pedigree that the Colombian riders have just in general. So he's part of that thing, and he's looking to put in a good lap. Not the best hill, coming down 6th, but again, the second half of the track is what he's known for, making things happen. I don't know what his thought process is. I'm sure he wants to stay as low as he can, get good backside, and hit those lines. Looks like a little bit of an overjump into that second corner. Still might be off the pace a little bit. That was a nice jump over that step jump, getting backside. I think he looks like he's almost testing out a couple of different lines, kind of doubling up in between that step up and step down. Still has the red helmet. A little bit of a hiccup in that last straight. He's even shaking his head. 38.116, that's for 6. So now I guess he knows what not to do tomorrow at least.
So Jason, the biggest difference, other than you're not racing against 7 other riders in your time trial, is how do you know to gauge your speed when you're by yourself?
Well, that's the interesting part. When you're by yourself, sometimes it's almost like you're focused too much on yourself in that lap, and it seems like every little thing you do is exaggerated.
Tor Naverstad from Norway is up next. But yeah, it's just a little bit difficult for some of these riders, I believe, to be able to go to their full potential riding around the track when they're by themselves. No one's pushing them, but at the same point, you kind of know when you're about 100% around the track, don't you?
You do know when you're having a good lap, but then sometimes you get those surprises where you don't think it was necessarily the best, and it was your fastest lap. So that's the one thing about the clock, right? So I'm not going to say it doesn't necessarily lie. It is what it is, so to say. So being out there by yourself on the track is something else. Like Naverstad, he's by himself on the track. He's making it happen. He's fourth. So we've already had 7 or 8 guys go, I think. But a little bit of hiccup on the top of that step. It's really squared off, so it's not very forgiving if you don't clear it. And so he didn't get down that third straight as well as I'm sure he wanted to. Getting down the last straight, I'm sure he just wants to get this lap over with. And he will be 38.082, and that'll be 6. Not good enough for first, but back to what you were saying, Pete, about being out there by yourself. That's exactly what it feels like. You're out there by yourself, and you're just hyper aware of everything you're doing. And with a time trial, you're unfortunately hyper aware of the mistakes you're making.
So Alfredo Campo is up next, currently ranked 8th overall. So we're at a halfway point of tonight's Superfinal Time Trial. Alfredo Campo was the fastest rider when we were back in Argentina for quite some time. Tori NYHAUG was the one to knock him out of the hot seat. So let's see if Alfredo Campo can return the favor as he's loaded up in the gate here tonight for the Superfinal.
Well, this track suits him, and I would say most big tracks do. I mean, as you can see, he's kind of tall, long, and lanky, and so he has that leverage. He has those long legs, so if he can jump or dip that or stretch those legs and dip that back wheel through those deep jumps. And we've seen him be in the hot seat, at least hold it for some time. So he definitely has the ability to pull out a time trial win. He's putting in a lot of work. I've seen him down in San Diego area training and riding. Great attitude, really gives it his all every time he's out there and makes sure. And he's also a very polite guy as well. Not all the time if you're racing him, though. I'm sure he will shut you down if you're trying to take his spot. He comes out of the second turn in 4th, over the step up real nice. Looks like he's riding, I don't want to say conservatively, but he's making sure he's hitting all his lines and hitting all his marks. Still has a red helmet to see what what he can do for Ecuador as he comes across in second. So very relaxed second place at 37.19, and Tori's the only guy sitting in that 36-second mark.
Yeah, so Alfredo wasn't able to return that favor, but is definitely happy for his somewhat teammate, Tori NYHAUG. So we'll get ready next for our top 7 ranked riders, and that'll be Amadou Mir from France, a guy that's had a great season again. Last year he kind of came out of nowhere, got some podiums, and this year he started things off again, just starting riding out really strong. So he's the real deal. He's one of those next guys to come through from the country of France, where we've got a lot of strong riders. But Amadou will get ready for his crack here at taking the top spot in tonight's Superfinal Time Trial.
Yeah, every time I see Amadou, I always get a smile on my face. One, because he's smiling, but 2, is he's just got this energy about him. He seems to be just kind of bouncing around all the time. But, man, is he intense when he races. I think if I were racing him, I probably wouldn't want to race him. I think he's just crazy enough to be really great at this sport. But he is fast. He's kind of got the whole package. He makes things happen. Red helmet out of the first corner, a little bit of an overjump. But, again, looks can be deceiving. We'll see at the end of the track. He's definitely getting through it. You see those legs moving fast. He's in second place. And, a little bit of a hiccup over that step up, a little bit of a different line in the rhythm, jumping from double to the top of the step up might have cost him. Red helmet still, track's not finished yet, but probably not going to be good enough to beat Tori's time. Yet a very respectable top 3 so far with a 37.277.
So Tori still in the hot seat, really excited, doing it for the fans of Canada and of course the ladies around the world. But next up, it'll be the winner of our last stop of the Supercross World Cup Tour in the race edition. It will be Liam Phillips. What can you say about this guy? Our past champion on the overall tour, champion of the last race, and he's going to try to look to
he's a world champion. He's definitely a Manchester specialist, that's for sure. And he's definitely comfortable at the top of the podium. I would say football, but since he's from GB, if he's playing rugby, he wants the ball, so he's definitely willing to rise to the occasion. Liam is a strong starter, 7th, which is unlikely for him actually. Looking smooth and consistent, though, not making too many mistakes. I think he's looking for a clean lap. Liam's all about the race. Racing others, that's for sure. But definitely clean and smooth, and then picked up a few spots, and now he's coming out of the second turn and third, and the track's not over yet. So coming through this rhythm, looked like he thought a little bit about it when he landed over that step, kind of like, what am I going to do here? Just stay straight and get backside. Coming out of the last turn with a red helmet, pretty conservative line, basic finish. I think Tori's still going to have the lead, but Liam's got a 37.343, so that'll be good enough for fifth right now.
So yeah, he lost a little bit of time coming out last turn. He was ranked third all the way through, and then he just, as you said, he might have held off ever so slightly through there, and that cost him. So next up, our current world champion in this format of the time trial will be Joris Daudet from France, looking to have a good run here. Currently ranked fifth overall in the series.
Yeah, and he's a world champion. I think he won in Denmark. He won the world championships in Denmark, and he's a TT world champion, current, always in the mains, good for a top three. Notice that high pedal start, which is not always the case usually with the taller guys, but it works for him. I mean, he gets those long legs moving and just lays down the power. Definitely a smooth guy, not scared to make a move in the first corner. Green helmet. So again, smooth, strong, fast. He's really putting together a good lap here. Even little tilty to the side. He drops off a little bit back to second down that second straight. I don't know what happened, but the track's not finished yet. He's going through the rhythm. He's got the long legs. He decides to jump and link those two up versus roll, and looks like he kind of hopped into that last corner. Whoa! And then he decides to just do a little pencil air. Got a little wild, so he decided to have fun with it at the end. But I'm sure Tori was saying thanks. Could have went the other way.
Yeah, he dodged a bullet. Joris was ranked second, just few 100th of a second behind, but as we said, any of those small mistakes will cost you. So currently ranked fourth overall, Ezequiel Torres, our 2015 junior world champion, stepped it up quite some here. Currently in the elite men's ranks. This is a guy that these riders should be scared of, Jason.
Super impressive. I mean, wins the Worlds, comes from behind to do it, then turns elite, and then right out the box. I mean, just in the mains, battling with the big guys, and here he is. He's ranked 16 in the world. He's in a time trial, and this is a big stage for him, and he's rising to the occasion, and that's what it's all about. Another one of those strong riders from Argentina. Now, this guy's known more for his track speed and savviness. I mean, he definitely takes some turns. I don't know what's going on. Looks like he's really spinning. Gear looks kind of light. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's weird that he wouldn't clear the jump into the first corner, but sometimes in these situations you find yourself trying so hard that you end up making more mistakes than you'd like. But either way, I'm sure he just wants to get this lap over with. He knows the mistakes he's made and what he probably wants to fix or change for the next day. Coming out of the last turn with a red helmet, I think he's just going to try to coaster on in and keep the rubber side down. 13th, that's a very unlikely lap for him with a 40.078 time. And Tori seems to have gotten his breath, and he's showing off his mirrored lenses, and he's just chilling on the scooter.
Yeah, it looked like for Torres, he tapped the gate, and maybe that's what held him back a little bit because he was the slowest one. Speed-wise, the slowest one at the bottom of the ramp timing zone, and uncharacteristic of him. Next up, Kyle Evans had a great run in Manchester with that second-place main event result. Currently ranked third overall in the series. He's the top dog from Great Britain right now. Let's see what he can do as he's in the Superfinal Time Trial.
I think him and Liam kind of fight for that top dog position, but definitely Kyle Evans is making it known that he wants to be the next King of England for sure, if not the world. So it looks like, if you look at his bike, it looks like it's a really long bike. Kyle is one of the taller guys on the circuit. Looks like a little bit of a case on that first jump, and you see his bars are kind of pulled back. So it's really interesting to see these guys' bike setups and how they take the jumps and what makes them comfortable. But getting backside, very fundamentally sound. A little bit of an overjump into that second corner, so he'd grab a lot of pedals coming out. Good backside on that step. Let's see what he does through this rhythm. He's going to stretch those legs out, kind of jet hop a little bit, almost coming up short. Probably going to have a red helmet coming out of this last corner. Over the double, rolling on through, and he's just going to bring it in wait for the race tomorrow. 38.447. That'll be good enough for 12th
So
place.
just 2 riders left. It'll be Nick Long from the United States and then Corbin SHARRAH. Those are our current first and second ranked overall riders, while Tori NYHAUG sits patiently to see if he can claim his 3rd Superfinal time trial in a row. But Nick Long, as we said, ranked 2nd overall. He's one of those guys, he does not really love the time trial format, but right now he has a shot here, Jason, to take that overall
what
spot.
I love about Nick is he cares and he doesn't care at the same time. It's a really, really interesting take on the yin and yang, but Nick is a racer's racer, that's for sure. His gaits and first straight are consistent. He's one of those guys that gets from point A to point B as fast as he can. No frills, but, you know, great guy on and off the track, you know, from that San Diego area, San Diego local. Great amateur. I think he did the jump to manual on the first jump, which is dropping his back wheel, but I think he's like, you know what? I'm kind of over this time trial. So I'm going to I'm going to just take a lap for the heck of it and do a little, just go a little sightseeing tour. He's going to be a tourist around the track and just get around. It seems like he's not pushing too hard. Still ranked 11th, you know, just relaxing through the track, but I don't think he's too worried about the time trial. Again, it's first or nothing with this time trial. He's going to have a good lane choice either way tomorrow. He's going to either have first or second pick tomorrow in the motos, and you know, he's here to race. So 15th for the time trial. He's chilling. Tori's obviously chilling. So the only guy I think that can take Tori's throne, and the only guy left would be Corbin SHARRAH, right?
Yeah. So as you make your way down to the interview zone, we will have the last rider of the evening in the Superfinal time trial for the elite men, Corbin SHARRAH. Can he unseat Tori NYHAUG? If anyone can do it, Corbin, the winner of stop number 1 in Santiago del Estero, rode extremely well, was in that main event in Manchester. A little bit of an issue there cost him a great result, but being in the main event alone is excellent. So we'll see if Corbin SHARRAH, number 24 from the United States of America, can unseat Tori NYHAUG. It's USA versus Canada in the Netherlands. Let's see who will take the victory tonight here in a Superfinal time trial. So at the bottom of the ramp, Corbin's time is 13th quickest, and he gets 8th overall, and now he's moved up to 7th out of turn 1. So we'll see Corbin's one of those tacticians on the track, and he says he knows that also he's one of those riders that's pushed by other riders on the track, but most of the time he's spent out front, so it should be familiar to him. But Corbin, you see, is having fun out there on his time trial. Right now he's currently ranked 8th. I don't think he'll be able to unseat Tori, so could be 3 in a row for Tori, but let's give Corbin the benefit, and the one all the way to the finish line, comes across the line, makes his way up to 8th overall. So Tori NYHAUG will be the winner of tonight's Superfinal time trial. That makes 3 in a row for him. Pretty impressive for Tori. As I said, he wants to translate it into overall results, but Tori NYHAUG, 3rd time winner on the Supercross World Cup Tour Superfinal time trials in Elite Men. We'll get a word as Jason's made his way down to interview Tori, and we'll hear from him how things are for him as he's taken, again, the overall time trial here for the Elite Men here in Papendal.
So Tori NYHAUG, again, another time trial win. You make it look easy. I know it doesn't feel that way. Did you know your lap was that fast?
You know, it's a difficult track to have a clean lap on. It's wide open, but it's really technical, and you kind of add that wind factor in, it comes and goes. So I just want to have a cleanest lap as I had. I really like the track, and I'm stoked to win another one. It's cool to win 3 in a row. I'm pretty stoked.
Well, it's nice to have that hat trick, I'm sure. So I'm sure the crowd will be looking forward to seeing you race tomorrow and get in on the podium, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Just want to have a good day. You know, a year ago I wasn't even here. I had a serious injury, and I'm feeling like I'm, myself again, really coming around, and I'm really excited to be here and racing, and I'm really enjoying it here.
All right, there you have it. Tori NYHAUG, people, your winner of the time trial.
So Tori NYHAUG, winner of 3 Superfinals time trial in a row. Pretty impressive from the youngster from Canada. Definitely exciting to see. So that wraps up the racing portion of tonight, as well as the Superfinal time trials. Impressive runs from Tori NYHAUG from the Elite Men, and then Caroline Buchanan in the Elite Women. And that gives us the finale of competition for today. So for tomorrow, we will have the 1 hour live show to bring to you. We have those 8th finals here, quarterfinals for the elite women, and then quarterfinals for the elite men. And then that last hour is our broadcast live around the world on television as well as on our webcast of the semifinals and then the finals for the elite women and the elite men. So it should be definitely interesting to see who can come out on top on our last World Cup before we head off to the World Championships, and then we move on to the Olympics. So great racing action out there tonight. Tori seemed pretty excited, Jason.
Yeah, Tori's putting together some good laps, so it's just a matter of putting together those laps in traffic the day of racing.
So we'll see if Tori can do that as well as the rest of the riders, as that's the conclusion of day number 2 here in Papendal at stop number 3, the UCI BMX World Cup Tour. I'm Pete Deluski.
And I'm Jason Richardson.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow for all of the live action for the last hour of racing for the BMX World Cup.